G'day folks, welcome to this report of this full campaign of Atlantic War. This is a report on activity throughout the 9th of June, so we're just at the end of the day, the start of the 10th of June. If I cast the camera around, you'll notice that there is a solid front line stretching from Traun out in the east, to the east of Caen, through to Lisicelles, around to the north of St. Lo there, south of Carentan, and then just to the right of Omaha Beach. It is, a little different in places to the historical situation. Certainly around here, the 6th Airborne Division have done well to push out over that past day to the east of Caen. The 50th Division in the centre here has done very well to push out beyond the Carpiquet airfield and beyond that sort of clear terrain. Around this area, the 1st and the 29th have done very well to push out from Omaha Beach. It was their initial drive out against and their elimination of German opposition just beyond the beaches here, which gave them the freedom to move out quite rapidly, and the Germans couldn't respond in time. They've now been met by 2 divisions in this area. The 17th, what are they called? 17th SS Panzer Division, I think it may be, or Panzer Grenadier. No, 17th SS Panzer Grenadier Division, and the 3rd Fallschirmjäger Division. In fact, both of those divisions counterattacked with the help of the 21st Panzer Division. And they actually drove the 1st and the 29th back behind their positions here on the L River. It looked to be quite dangerous until this wave of reinforcements and those Allied units who had been clearing out the coastal defences managed to rush the lines and plug those gaps, particularly around this area. You can see where I've rushed. I mean, they're out of communication, but they were plugged into the line around this area. There's a mix here of 1st Division, 2nd Division, 29th Division, and 101st Airborne, just who rushed into this area. 2 other German divisions also arrived, and they made their way out here to the west of the front. We have the 77th Division. They confronted the 90th Division, the 90th US Division, Infantry Division here, were hoping to cut the peninsula. But they were stopped short by the arrival of the 77th Division and the 243rd, who were also active in that area. It's been relatively quiet around Utah. The 4th Division, 4th US Division lacking supplies. So not a lot they can do here. But the 82nd were in supply last turn and managed to push the Germans out of Chef de Pont here and have driven through to, they actually captured Pont l'Abbey here, but just pulled back a bit for some reason. So they are primed and ready for an offensive through this area here. We're hoping that they can lead the way because the 4th Division is pretty quiet without supply. 90th Division doesn't have supplies this turn either, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. So, yeah, as I said, it's the start of the 10th. I've already rolled for weather, and unfortunately, it was once again heavy overcast. We were very lucky not to have another storm turn, so there's no air support. The Mulberry supply roll gave us 7 supply points. So as I said, we've given this to the 82nd so they can drive through here. They're all set up, so I've sort of prioritised them. 90th is going to have to be pretty quiet this turn. They'll be on the defensive against what looks to be German 77th Division getting ready to attack. 101st is sort of reorganising. They sort of scattered trying to block these crossroads. They've sort of pulled back in many places just to try and form a defensive position. It's a similar situation with the 1st and the 29th. They have battalions, regiments all over the place, so they're going to try and consolidate. You can see all those out of communication markers on their units. And the main supply priority is out here, where we have 6 supply points being spent on these British and Commonwealth divisions. Got the 6th Airborne out on the left. They'll certainly be attacking. 3rd Infantry Division. You can see the Germans have actually pulled back to Caen. They've every time the British attack and the Canadians attack, they poke little holes in the German lines, and they have to keep shifting left and right with their forces. So you can see again the 12th Panzer, 12th SS Division has again sort of shifted out to the left here. They've once again occupied this position to the east of the Orne River. They've had to pull back from here, and then as a result, the 21st Panzer Division has sort of shifted right. So the Germans are constantly shifting left and right along the lines to address these threats and fill these gaps. This is certainly their most vulnerable area because it's clear terrain. The 6th Division is in pretty good shape. They've got a lot of artillery out here, whereas the Germans don't. They've got a concentration in this area, which should be resupplied now. But they're also under pressure from, look at the divisions here. So 6th Airborne, 3rd Infantry, 3rd Canadian, 51st Division, 50th Division, and then 7th Armoured. Now the 7th Armoured is a relatively small division, and I kind of tossed up whether to give them a supply point, but they are holding a pretty important position here where the 21st Panzer is probably at its weakest around here. So I was hoping to be able to get an attack in through here and maybe drive a wedge in the German defences. The Germans, as I said, they've spent their turn retreating into the town hexes of Caen and behind the Odon River here. This is a formidable defensive barrier to about this point, but then the bocage and wooded terrain starts. They are relatively thinly stretched out, but it is going to be hard for the Allies to get in that area. And then behind them, they've got the Orne River as well, which they can always fall back behind. And again, without Allied air support, there's a greater sort of parity of forces throughout this area. So this is where I anticipate most of the Allied offensive action will be. They are just not letting the Germans catch a break. Now, conversely, if I swing the camera around, you'll notice this concentration of German forces around here. Now, like I said, they did have a big advantage here early in the day on the 9th of June. They were driving quite well. I think the Allies, they were up to about sort of this cross point here, and they're up and past around the river here, and 3rd Fallschirmjäger drove them back quite a way. Now the 2nd Division has arrived, and they're getting their artillery set. I think there's a pretty good parity, but you do have these big mechanised, motorised battalions of the 17th SS Panzergrenadier Division. And again, I mentioned before, it looks like the 77th Infantry Division out here are shaping up to attack. They've got, supremacy of forces in this area. A few out of communication units here. These are really problematic. They're basically, 7th Army troop. There's a mix of units here. 7th Army. Then you've got 91st Division. I don't know where they belong, but they're way out of place. I think they should be all the way down there, actually. They got kind of caught out by the 9th Division rushing ahead and were forced to come around this way. So ideally, one day, they'll make the journey back around towards Cherbourg. And then another 7th Army troop. Now, these guys should, again, be way off in the north. So, all along the line, there's a lot of back and forth going on. Allies attacking here, Germans attacking here. We don't know what will happen here. Maybe the Germans attacking here. And then, a lot of Allied attacks I anticipate along here. The Germans really on the defensive around this area. So that is the situation, as I said, at the end of the 9th of June, the start of the 10th of June. As I said, a front line throughout Normandy. And stay tuned to see what happens with this front line over the coming hours.